Hello guys. So in this video, I'm going to explain what are the tax obligations for rideshare drivers. And for rideshare, I'm going to be using Uber as an example, but it could be Lyft or Uride or any other app. I have already made a detailed video on this topic, but in this video, I'm going to keep it crisp, very simple, and explain it in a different way. We get a lot of clients, we get a lot of calls, questions from people around this topic, because especially a lot of people who do their tax by themselves, who DIY their tax returns, they make certain mistakes, or they have this confusion, especially the part-timers. So I'm going to explain this in as much simplicity as I can. And I hope this video really helps you. All right, so the first thing is that as Uber drivers, you should know that as a rideshare driver, you have this obligation to collect GST or HST on every ride that you make. So that means that every fare that you're making, you have to charge HST or GST on that fare. And that is done by the Uber app for you. So Uber basically collects the HST on your behalf and then transfers that amount to you. That makes you liable for sending the HST to the government. So basically, as a rideshare driver, you have to file two types of tax returns. Two types. One is the income tax return, which is for every individual, that every individual would file, right? That income tax and benefit returns, that's the first type. And the second one is the GST HST return, which is related to the GST HST that you collected. That is gonna be the second returns. So let me explain that in a bit of detail for you, to you. So there are two types of Uber drivers, okay? The full-timers, say the full-time, and the part-time, okay? Number one thing, since they are doing Uber, they are self-employed. So self-employed, yes, the full-timer is a self-employed and the part-timer is a self-employed as well. First thing, keep that in mind. If you're a part-timer, it does not, you are also a self-employed now, okay? Second thing, they would have income, expenses. So that means the full-timer is going to have income from Uber, and also he's gonna take care of certain expenses to make that income. The same case will be for the part-timer. He will have income, he will have expenses. The part-timer has one more thing, which the full-timer doesn't in this scenario, which is employment income. So let's say that's a T4. So he's also doing a job. That's why he's a part-timer, right? So he has employment income as well. So this guy has two types of income, which is employment income and self-employment income. Just keep that in mind. All right? So this is the scenario for these two guys, okay? Part-timer and full-timer. And I'm also gonna use different color. So let's say one tax return is the income tax return, and the second type of tax return that I just told you is gonna be the GST HST return. Okay, let's make them like this. So these are like two different, I'm sorry, but I always try to include some art. All right, so this is the income tax return and the GST return. So as I as I told you that every rideshare driver has to file these two type of tax returns. Now, quickly, what's going to happen is that this guy, since he has income from he's just a self-employed, so he's gonna file an income tax return, right, which will have income and expenses, and that all information is gonna go into here. All right, the same thing will apply to the part-timers as well. His self-employed income, like the income and the expenses, are gonna go in here. But for the part-timer, his employment income, this is also gonna go into this same tax return. This is very important. A lot of people who are part-timers, they would file their income tax return with just the employment income, which is totally wrong. Okay, so as a part-timer, your income tax return will have information from your employment and also self-employment, which is Uber related. Okay, this is the key, because we actually have to make amendments and refiling for a lot of part-time Uber drivers who have just filed their income tax return with just this income. So if you do this, you're definitely going to get an audit from CRA, and then you're going to be in trouble, right? So that is about the income tax return. So this guy is filing the income tax return, the same income tax return as a self-employed. This guy is also filing the same income tax return as a self-employed, but he also has additional information which is coming from the employment income. All right, T4 or any other slip. Now coming to the HST part. So let's, for this example, I would say these two, the full-timer and the part-timer, they have the same Uber income and they had the same Uber expenses. Okay, so that means their income, the HST part, okay, on the income and the expenses is gonna go to this GST HST return. That means the full-timer is gonna file the GST HST return with the HST side of the income and the expenses. The same will go for this guy, that his income and expenses, the HST side, is gonna go into this GST HST return. So what I'm essentially saying is that if their income and expenses are identical, they will be filing the same GST HST return with the same amounts. So a lot of people confuse this in Uber, that they say, okay, we have filed our income tax return with just the employment income, and now we have to file the business return, which is the HST return. All right, so this is totally wrong. You have to file your income tax return with your employment income, also with the self-employment income as well. Okay, and then you have to file a business or business GST HST return, which is the additional thing. So again, as I said, this is the number one tax return and this is the second tax return, right? So this is what it is. I hope it is clear to you, the concept. So you are taking care of two tax returns, and if you have any questions or comments, you can share those in the comments below. And there are multiple videos on the channel on this topic in detail. You can watch those as well. I hope this helps. Have a great day, guys.